Thank you for being here at All Access Live with Kevin Rankin. Folks, before we get started with my guest today, I would love it if you do me a favor. Please go to this link below. Go to youtube.com/@accesskevin. Subscribe to the channel. You can become a member if you'd like, but if you're not, just go ahead and subscribe. Make sure you like this video and share it with your buddies. You know you're going to want to. Also, this episode is brought to you by an amazing guitar shop in Beaverton, Oregon. So if you're interested in playing guitars, or you want to get accessories, or maybe some repairs or lessons, go to fivestarguitars.com. Everything you see there, you're going to save 15% off if you use the promo code of All Access Live. Also, if you are in the States and you're not in Oregon, you might find that you will save a bunch of money just by ordering because there's no sales tax in Oregon. So go to fivestarguitars.com, let them know I sent you. I would appreciate that, and they will appreciate me. So my guest today is a renowned broadcaster. He's a TV personality. He's an author, a historian, probably knows more about music than anybody I've ever met on the planet. So all the way from his lovely place in Ontario, I've got Alan Cross. How you doing, sir?
Well, I'm good. I spent today doing Ozzy Osbourne interviews. I did. Look at my hair. You can see exactly how rattled I am. I did 19 interviews today about Ozzy. Whenever somebody dies in this country, they call me, and I'm the one that's going to talk about it.
I've seen some other interviews that you've done when Neil passed away. And so before we even get on Ozzy, today is Rush Day, right? Yes. So it's so I figured that you'd probably be doing some interviews about that too. So
do you see the Rush drum head behind me?
Oh my God, look
it's
at
signed.
that.
Yes, it is. It's signed.
Wow. There's only one other person I know that has a signed Rush drum head, and that's my son, who probably has that drum head in the garage storage here. But yeah, my son's a massive Neil fan. And did you actually get that from him?
I got it from one of the people at the management company.
Wow. Okay. Was it management, or maybe through the records? Because Anthem Records, right?
It was
in Toronto.
It was
okay.
It was
right. Yeah. I see you there, Perry, in the chat. Thank you for being here. #legend. Yes, Alan is a legend for sure. And so before I even get going on Rush or Ozzy, I'm grateful that we can kind of talk about both those timely artists. You and I, there was a friend of yours that came to me at a show that we did in Vancouver back in November, and said, if you haven't already met Alan Cross, I think you need to. You're an enthusiast, you're a passionate person about music. And so from that point, about 3 months ago, I went on a deep dive. I got through Uncharted, Crime and Mayhem in the Music Industry podcast. I got through your Ongoing History of Music podcast. I subscribed to your newsletter. So all of those things, folks, if you didn't already know, you can get subscriptions to the newsletter. There's a daily deluge of music news that you can get at journalofmusicalthings.com. So make sure you go there.
It's always free.
Yep. So how do you even find all of this music information? There's more there than Rolling Stone and Spin combined.
Well, I don't really know. The reason it's called a Journal of Musical Things is because I do all these other things, researching and writing about music and talking about music. And for the longest time, I just kept notes or kept files on my computer. But I thought, well, that's kind of silly. I can't really adequately search through those notes. So why don't I create a website and just put everything that I find interesting on the website, and it's got a search function, and it also acts as a bit of a marketing tool for me. So as much as people seem to like the website, it's there for me, so I can actually store and conduct some research.
And so it's been around for a while, right? When did you actually start documenting all of this on the website? Okay, all right. So a lot's changed between 2011 and now. Mm-hmm. The planet's changed during COVID. Did you find you were a little more active on it than you have been these days?
Yeah, I was. Well, no, because I work out of the house. I have a very, very hardcore routine. I'm at my desk at 7:30 every morning. I have a series of things that I have to do. The first thing I do is the website. The second thing I do is the newsletter. And then I embark on whatever news or whatever work that I have for that particular day. So when COVID came along, frankly, I didn't even notice, other than the fact that the whole world had shut down. In terms of my workload and my workflow, it never changed. Everything I was doing was virtual. I was always doing interviews online. I work out of the house. I can have Uber Eats deliver food to me. Yeah, it was no problem at all. It's just that when I stopped working, I realized that we were in a pretty weird sort of situation with planet Earth.
Yeah. And you've been doing book tours. You've actually been doing some speaking engagements. Is that right?
Yes, they're
Okay.
not book tours. They are what we call intimate evenings, salons, where people have a chance to come together and talk about whatever's on their mind when it comes to music. And they run about 2 hours. And basically, I'm not going to lie, it's the laziest thing ever. So I show up after people buy tickets and I say, what do you want to talk about?
Okay.
And that's it for 2 hours.
Really?
There's no presentation. There's no formality. There's nothing of that. It's just me talking to the audience back and forth. And occasionally I'll slip into some stories about things that I've done, people I've seen, and interviews that I've conducted and so on. But yeah, that's the way it is. I finished up in a cross-Canada tour in April, and I start up again in September. And there are some other things that are happening in the fall that are still coming together that should be rather interesting.
Okay. And so I've spent a lot of time in Vancouver over the last several months and noticed that you're syndicated across a lot of network channels.
Mhm.
So so tell me, I mean, if you don't mind, tell me a little bit about your history and how did you get the syndication?
Okay, let's see, what can I do here? Well, I've been in radio since 1981. I was just a regular sort of DJ for a very long time. And I eventually got into a situation where the company I was working for decided that they needed to make some changes. And I was retired from my full-time position. I had the greatest radio position of all time. I worked Monday to Friday from 2 in the afternoon till 6. It was great.
Yeah.
But new management had new ideas, and what they did was they severed me and hired me back on as a contractor to do this new program that they admitted called The Ongoing History of New Music. And they said if I didn't want to do it, well, I was welcome to enjoy my future endeavors. So having just been married, having just got a house, okay, fine, we'll do this. It's not going to last, but we'll do this. And it turns out that was the best thing ever for me, because it completely inoculated me against being too old for rock radio. Now,
Right.
every radio person has a best before date on their forehead. They just can't see it unless they manage to create a persona around themselves that inoculates them, keeps them from being too old for the audience, or too old in the sense that you've reached your salary limit, or all those other corporate things that may happen to you over the course of your life. But for whatever reason, Ongoing History took off and has not stopped. And right now, it gets about 100,000 downloads a week. We're approaching 30 million downloads overall. It spawned a bunch of books, the tours. You wouldn't be talking to me if it wasn't for this show.
Right. Yeah.
And all the people that were responsible for making my life miserable by assigning it to me in the first place are all dead or out of the business.
Really? So they came to you with The Ongoing History of New Music as a title?
Yes.
Okay.
They called me in and they said,
Okay.
You are going to do this program called The Ongoing History of New Music, because what we're going to do is sharpen the focus of this radio station, and we need a program that is going to explain to people where all this music came from. You are the only person on staff with a history degree, so you are going to do it, and it's going to be called The Ongoing History of New Music. To which I replied, That's a terrible name. It's stupid. Nobody will ever remember it. Secondly, I don't want to do this, which is when they talked about my future endeavors.
Were you already, because you had a history background, but were you actually doing those deep dives where you looked back? Okay, so that was the spawning.
Well, let me explain.
Okay.
Canadian radio was substantially different from U.S. radio in the sense that for a very long time, regulators wanted to keep us separate from money-making AM radio stations. So FM stations in Canada for the very longest time were governed by a series of rules that took up a phone book like this. And there were all these things that FM radio had to do to keep it different from AM. And one of the things we had to do was talk a lot more. And it was very bureaucratic. There was surveillance information, there was mosaic information, there was foreground information, all these things that you had to commit to X number of minutes per week, or they could pull your license. It was, in fact, for the longest time, illegal to have a genuine top 40 radio station in Canada, because we could
Really?
only devote 49% of our music to anything in the top 40, right? The rest had to be album tracks or non-hits. And again,
Wow. Okay.
AM radio, which was lasting as a music format a lot longer than it did in the United States. Now, all these rules are gone. But, and when they came to me with this ongoing history business, we still had to do this thing called foreground. Foreground meant long-form thematic programming that had to be on a specific topic, and you had to run so many minutes of it per week. And our radio station's license, CFNY, we had a very heavy commitment towards foreground programming. That's what we had to promise in order to get the license. And so they needed me legally, regulatorily, to do this program. But then about 95 or 96, all these rules disappeared. Every single one of them just vanished. And for whatever reason, they didn't have to have me anymore. But they thought, you know what, the program's doing good, it's getting good ratings, so we're just going to leave it. And it's been there ever since.
Wow. You know, those other rules too. I mean, I always heard about the rules that you had to have also a percentage of Canadian artist content versus the American content as well. You had the CanCon rule, right?
Yeah. So we would have two categories. We'd have international, we'd have Canadian. Okay. And Canadian content was designed as an industrial strategy and a cultural strategy in the early 1970s to make sure that we grew a Canadian music industry, living next door to the United States, which is very, very difficult for a country of 1/10 the population. So, yeah, we still have those laws in place. It is anywhere from 35 to 40% of our playlists have to be of Canadian origin. Okay. And that's a long story there itself.
Well, I love it. You know, when I'm there quite a bit, I get to discover music that crossed boundaries and crossed a little bit. I, of course, knew the real commercial artists, right? You knew the Bryan Adams and the Rush and the Triumph. And I grew up in the Midwest in the U.S., so Headpins and even bands, hard rock bands like Platinum Blonde, I knew.
And Triumph and April Wine and so on and so on. Yeah.
Well, oh yeah, I mean Rick Emmett, was a legend as much in the States as he had been up in Canada. But some of the artists that I hadn't heard of that much, I've been discovering a lot more on Canadian radio today. I had a great conversation with Prism and Streetheart and Haywire the other day, and our
Haywire, wow,
yeah,
okay, cool,
great band, and the guitarist from our band, A Flock of Seagulls, is the singer for Spoons, Gord Depp.
Yes, I know Gord very well.
He mentioned that. He said you guys had a great relationship, and he had lots of great stories to tell me about Alan Cross. So shout out to you from Gord.
Thank you.
One of the things that I did, besides digging into Canadian music, because I've been up there a lot, I dug into your podcasts and the ongoing music.
See, you can't get it right either. You can't get the name right
of new music. There's a lot. I felt like I knew quite a bit about modern music, but there are so many genres that you cover, and even looking historically at where some of the things like scalping came from, and censorship in music going back hundreds of years, or even almost 1,000 years in some cases. Fascinating, but I'm also a huge crime buff. So when I found Uncharted and I found Crime and Mayhem, your podcast, the first few that I listened to, I was hooked. There aren't enough for me to chew up. I think you have a lot more of the ongoing history podcast, I think, but
I have done 1,055 or 56 episodes of ongoing history, and I'm working on episode number 49 of Uncharted. That only started last year in 2020. Yeah, so it's only not even 2 years old.
Okay, but then I've also found you in like interspersed with some other podcasts as well. There was Geeks and Beats, where you had great conversations on AI, the use of AI, and some other changes in streaming and payment. As an artist who relies on music for income, it's interesting to see your deep dive, because I learn a lot more from you than I do from other sources in the biz. So you're still passionate about this.
Yeah, I mean, I really like what I do. People say, well, when are you going to retire? And I go, and do what? Well,
right.
This is fun. Next to traveling and my dogs and my wife, this is all I do. So yay.
And your social media. You're so active on social media. So aside from all of this, you also do a quick, deep, or a short introductory for music-related books. I love the 2-minute book review. Is that right?
Yeah, okay. And I have. Hang on. These are the books. Oh, don't. Oh, God, they fell. These is the stack of books that still have to be reviewed.
Look at that. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, these are actual books.
Are you a skimmer, or are you actually reading those cover to cover?
No, I have to read these books.
Yeah.
As part of my research. Now I'm gonna mess them up again. Hang on. I mean, okay, there's a dozen, 12, 15 books here. He's back. But if I turn my screen, there's the library.
Yes, look at that. Oh,
that's the book. That's part of the book library.
Oh, I'm embarrassed about my collection here. Just looks so tiny. But do you have a favorite? I know it's a tough one to say. I have to ask.
Favorite book?
Is there a rock biography that you've read that just
rock biographies are okay? Well, what would I do? I mean, I like anything to do with the Beatles.
Yeah,
because the Beatles have so much to offer. There's a what am I looking at right now? Oh, here's one that I'm going through. It's called Whores. It's all about Jane's Addiction and Perry Farrell, which is it's an oral history. So that's a rather interesting way to go through the band's career. So there's that. What else do I have on the shelf there that I really like?
Have you had that one for a while? Have you had Whores for a while?
Yeah, I have. I'm working on a Uncharted story about Dave Navarro and the fact that his mother was killed.
Wow.
Was murdered by a boyfriend. So I'm using that as part of my research on that.
I'm curious about that. So that's a pretty tragic story. And I know that he has suffered from PTSD from that for a long time. And the trauma from that is what he was using in his lawsuit against Perry Farrell, right? Because when Perry...
I sat down and I watched... He did a documentary in 2015 called Morning Sun. And it runs 2 hours. And much of that is just about all the trauma that he suffered and carried with him. And it turned into drug addiction. It turned into alcoholism. It turned into, ruined relationships. It turned into, S&M practices. It turned into, cutting himself and a whole bunch of other things. It's a really tragic story.
Yeah.
And I've met Dave on a couple of occasions. He seems like a really together guy, but you never know what's going on behind somebody's eyes.
Yeah, that's the truth, man. I was curious about how long you had the book, just because things blew up, of course, earlier this year. And a lot of people were so excited to see the band reform, and
2 days after the blow up, they were going to be in Toronto. I had arranged for a sit down with all 4 members, and we were going to have a oral history of Jane's Addiction from the members of Jane's Addiction themselves for an ongoing history of new music. 2 days after that blow up.
Yeah.
Obviously, no.
I would imagine you can get individuals, right? Stephen Perkins seems pretty accessible, and I'm sure
Dave would be fine. Stephen's a really good guy. I don't know Avery. I don't know him very well. But if they're ever available, sure. Yeah.
How about bucket list gigs? I mean, is there anybody that you've just been dying to that's still available or still around that you'd like to be able to interview?
I've never talked to anybody in the Rolling Stones.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
That's just a huge gap. I haven't talked to anybody in Pink Floyd, although I almost had Nick and I almost had David once. So those are the 2 big ones. I would also talk to Elton John simply because he was the first artist I ever got into. First record
really?
I'd love to be able to talk to him. I have talked to Bernie Taupin many times. In fact, I purchased one of his paintings, and he's a good dude, but he's not Elton. And
of course,
I would love to talk to him.
I know that you've done Beatles. You've had, I think, you had Ringo and
Paul.
Paul, yeah. When was your conversation with Paul?
Paul was part of a press conference.
Okay.
I had actually bribed the record company guy to call on me as the last question.
Nice.
And it went like this. He pointed to me. I stand up. And I says, "Paul, glad welcome to Toronto. Congratulations on your recent marriage to Heather." He had just married Heather Wells. Oh, he goes, "Oh, thank you very much." I says, "I have a question about the wedding." He goes, "What?" Yeah, the wedding reception. At the wedding reception, which included Ringo and Eric Clapton and Sting and all your rock star friends, did you have a band or a live DJ? And he looked really, really confused. And he said, a live band, of course. Why? I said, well, do you think they were intimidated?
Right.
And again, he just looked at me and goes, no, why would they be? And that was the end of the press conference.
You know, I actually have something that kind of dovetails from that. Aside from playing with the Flock of Seagulls for many, many years, I played with Jennifer Batten. If you know her, she was Michael Jackson guitarist. She'd been playing with Jeff Beck. So Jeff invited her to his wedding. And she mentioned that Jeff had asked her to sit in at the wedding reception where there was a live band.
Yeah.
But it was a jam with all the people you just mentioned. There was Paul and McCartney. I mean, there was McCartney and there was Eric Clapton and there was Roger Daltrey. And it was maybe 100 people in this pub. And she said, there's no way I was going to get up and just make a fool of myself. And I thought, man, I'm like, and it's morbid because I am that way. But if a bomb went off in that room, it was all of rock royalty right in that one room. But how cool to have those people amassed as your wedding reception, right? So it sounds like they all share the same pool of people that come out to the parties.
Yeah, you know, it's not a big world, and I'm sure they cross paths all the time. And you know, you want to have something in common with the people that you hang out with. And when you're at that level, you know, who else is there?
For sure, yeah. Well, you mentioned that Elton was your first record. That the Stones, Beatles, like all these guys are huge in the drumming world, which I'm in, and I believe you're a drummer as well. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. So first of all, let's talk drums. Okay.
Tama Imperial Star, double kick drums, 24 inches in platinum.
That's what you've got, or that's your favorite kit? No kidding. 24s. I
used to be a teacher. And instead of being paid per student, I just put everything on account. And I bought a kit, one set, one piece at a time. Nice. So by the time I left the store, I had this giant Neil Peart type thing with Peisty 2002 cymbals and oh God, it takes up, I don't know, 50 square feet. It's so big.
Yeah. A mutual friend of ours, Kyle Radomski, just I was out at Drumeo last week, and so he mentioned that you did a whole series of shows out there.
Yeah.
And so did you go through all the rooms? Did you check out all the kits and all the snare drums?
I was not out there. I did everything virtually.
Oh, you did? Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, it's a lot of fun.
Oh, that would kill me. That would just kill me to go through all that stuff.
I was there for a few hours, and it was tough to leave, honestly, but it was overwhelming. There was so much stuff. But so, Peart, have you actually met him? Did you meet Neil?
He was the one guy I never met. I mean, I have been, okay. The reason I'm sitting here is because in January of 1980, all my friends came over to my house for lunch from high school to listen to this new record that I had bought. I was the one with a part-time job, so I was the guy that always had all the new records first. And that day I had Permanent Waves from Rush. And we were all good in school, so that meant we were all nerdy, so that meant that we were, you know, by law into Rush.
Right.
And so I put it on, side one, track one. What is it? The Spirit of Radio. And I go, oh, okay, this is a cool song. Hey, you know, I'm thinking about getting into radio. This is still in my high school years. And that's cool. My favorite band wrote a song about radio. Oh, wait, they wrote a song about a specific radio station. And if you go down through the lyric sheet, you'll see that the song is dedicated to the spirit of radio, alive and well in Brampton so far.
Wow.
And it turns out that the radio station is CFNY. Their slogan at the time was the spirit of radio. And I remember thinking, boy, wouldn't it be cool to work there one day?
Yeah. And then sure enough,
you know, so that was 6 years later, I walked in the door and I'm still there.
Pinching yourself.
I don't have it here because my buddy Ivor took it away today to get it repaired. But the radio station never was compensated in any way, shape, or form by Rush or Rush's record company or their management for taking our slogan and turning it into a song. Remember, Neil did not come up with the title The Spirit of Radio. That was our slogan. We were CFNY 102.1, the spirit of radio. And he was moved to write the song because he was driving through Southern Ontario one Sunday morning, and there was a woman named Liz Janik on the air. know this very well. And she, at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, was playing, I think, the Carpet Crawlers or something like The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway from Genesis. And he thought, wow, this is really cool. How many other radio stations would do this on a Sunday morning? So he went back and he wrote this song. In appreciation for allowing us to use, or for allowing them to use the slogan and for not suing them, they gave the radio station a platinum record. Presented to the CFMY, the Spirit of Radio from Rush. And if you notice, I don't have it too close to me. If you notice, the catalog number is 1021.
Wow, really?
It is. The Anthem 1021. That is the catalog number. They gave us this platinum record as a thank you. When the radio station moved in the 90s from one location to the other, they wanted to get rid of a whole bunch of stuff. And for whatever reason, and I don't know why, but the guy in charge at the time says, here, you have this. So I have in my personal possession, not right now because it's getting prepared, otherwise I'd show it to you, the platinum record that Rush presented to CFNY in thanks for you being able to use the phrase, the Spirit of Radio.
Incredible. That's fascinating. And so you mentioned not having met Neil, but
right. So,
but Eddie and Alex, or Getty and Alex,
all the time.
Yeah.
I know Alex. I know Getty very well now. I know their management company inside and out very well. I've done work for both Getty and I did a book tour thing with Getty. I did some promo work with Alex and his new band, Envy of None.
Yeah.
There is a Rush Day coming up at a brewery in Toronto at the end of August. It's the Henderson Brewing Company. They're the ones that are brewing Rush beer. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
You
know it, right?
I do, for sure.
Okay, so I'm telling you right now, they have a new 0% alcohol beer that tastes really, really, really good.
Really? Okay.
Hey, they're having a Rush Day at this Henderson Brewing Company, and Howard Underlinger and a whole bunch of other people are showing up. And one of the things I'm going to bring is my Spirit of Radio platinum record to show everybody. Yeah. It's a day we just hang out, drink beer, and listen to Rush. That's the 23rd of August is going to be about it.
You know what, guys? If you're watching this, I'll put that in the show notes. Alan has this. It's on August 23rd at Henderson Brewing Company. It's on his website, on a Journal of Musical Things. So I'll make sure that I have a link to that. And if you guys are in the Toronto metro area, go down and check that out. We'll be on tour. I'm going to miss that, but I'll tell you that every time I get into F Terminal in Toronto at YYZ, I have talked to every manager possible at the brewery at the bottom of the escalator, telling them that I need the banner. I need the Rush beer banner.
Oh, the stand-up one? Yeah.
I've tried walking away with that so many times. And I really don't want to get banned from Canada.
Well,
so I'm trying to be polite, but
I think Alex is going to be at the event. Let me see if I can put in a word.
You know what? If you're going to put in a word, I've already had Maya Wynn on twice talking.
Oh, okay. Well, then sure.
So why don't you put in a word for Alex and just tell him, hey, you should really come on the podcast. We got
a friend of Maya. Maya, right? Yeah, she sings in your band.
And I think Gord actually knows Getty and Alex quite well as well, because they were all on Anthem together. So
yeah, they were. Yeah, absolutely. The Anthem office was on College Street. It's a very small building. So people were going through there all the time. Ray Daniels was there, Peggy Ciccone was there, and Megan Simzik was there, and Andy Curran was there. It was a small operation. Yeah. So if one person would leave, another person would come in. I mean, I've sat there and seen these guys come and go.
What's something about Rush that hardly any Rush fan knows?
Ooh. Stuff that I can talk about, right?
Yeah. Or until now, maybe you can give an exclusive.
I'm trying to think of something that won't get me in trouble. No, you know what? I can't. I mean, the moment you start talking to Rush fans, they will one-up you like you wouldn't believe, because this is one of the things I love about the band, is that their history and their heritage is so incredibly deep. Yeah. They're almost like the Beatles in the sense that you can study Rush for a lifetime and still not know everything about them.
Sure.
All right, hang on. Right back.
How fun is this?
Okay. Have you seen these books?
Let's take a look. I'm gonna blow you up bigger here.
Okay, so these books, they're written by Martin Popoff. Martin Popoff has written about 8,000 books, and he has a series of these.
Oh, here, hold on.
Yeah,
let me flip your camera real quick here. One sec.
Okay.
Let's see if I can do that. I'm wondering if I can. Let me see here. Nope, that'll just flip mine. Well, that's okay. Folks, you can read backwards.
Right. Okay. Oh, right. That's the problem. So this is called Anthem, and it's Rush in the 1970s, followed by Limelight, Rush in the 1980s, followed by Driven, Rush in the 1990s.
These are all
Each book runs about 425 pages, and these are essential for anybody who is into Rush and thinks they know Rush. Trust me.
I've looked through Martin's books before. Not only is there a lot of great chronological history, but the photography and it's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, yeah.
I don't know how he does it. He's it's brilliant. It really is.
Rosie Mondin here in the chat here, she's asking, other than Neil Peart, who is your favorite drummer?
Danny Carey.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I have no idea how Danny Carey does what he does.
When all of the speculation was happening, because Getty had mentioned, or maybe it was Alex that first mentioned, we're not gonna go on as Rush, but we might get together someday and play with our friends, right? And there was all that speculation about who's going to be the replacement for Neil. You can't replace Neil, of course, but a lot of people talked about Danny Carey being a logical, replacement because of the style of his progressive rock, playing, and he's very unorthodox, right? So, yeah, so that would maybe as a close second, that's your favorite drummer.
I think so. John Bonham would be third because it's John Bonham, and my nephew, who is also a drummer, and in fact he's got a degree in jazz drumming. I just say to piss him off, Keith Moon. He's sloppy. Yeah, that's the point.
Right.
It's there's nothing. He plays with so much heart and soul. It doesn't matter that he's sloppy. It still sounds great.
Have you seen drummers out there that for me, there have been a handful. I mean, I saw Neil play 5 or 6 times, and I'm heartbroken that my son never got to, because he's such an obsessive fan. He's got Rush tats everywhere. He has a replica Peart kit that he's built, but he didn't get to see Neil play live. But there have been drummers in my past that changed everything about me. The first time I saw certain drummers, not only did it bring tears, but it inspired me so much that that's what I'm wanting to do forever.
Here's the good thing about it. Great. I'm glad you brought that up. A lot of people will watch a drummer and go, I should just give up.
Yeah.
No, I need to go home and practice.
Yeah.
That's the proper response.
Absolutely.
You're excited about practicing. Oh, one other Neil story. I was a guest with them on the R40 tour, or the last tour, R45, whatever it was. And I went to Las Vegas, and I had access to the stage. And if you know the tour, Neil had 2 kits.
Yep.
He had what we call the 2112 kit, which was everything up to moving pictures, and then he had the kits that came after. So he had 2 of them set up on stage, and they went backwards in time. So they started with the most current Rush stuff, and they went all the way back to 1974, and I think they either finished with In the Mood or Working Man, one of those 2. Anyway, I got a tour of the kit.
Oh my God.
I sat on the throne. I sat behind.
No, you didn't.
Guys,
this is the drum kit that Alan's talking about here, guys. This is the acoustic version of that kit. This is the R40 kit. You can see the cat here, and then there's the electronic kit on the bottom side of this kit, right? So, but you got a tour of that. That's crazy.
Yeah. So imagine me sitting there.
Yeah, that's a bucket list for sure.
Yeah, it sure was. Considering that Neil was the reason I wanted to play drums. When I first heard 2112, I was like, "Yep, this is what I want to do."
That's it. You're not the first person to say that, of course, but I love that every once in a while in your podcast you'll drip in a little Rush, a little Rush fanaticism.
Oh yeah, it's there.
There are a bunch of questions that are happening here in the chat, and I love seeing you guys all over the place. I'm just going to hit a couple of these really quick. And Scott Clark asked if you had gone to Keith Dawes' record shop to buy a turntable in Oakville. Yeah. So I'm sure you have a handful of turntables.
I don't have a daughter.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well,
unless you count my dogs, no daughter. So the answer there is no. My turntables were purchased at Bay Blue Radio in downtown Toronto. I have a couple of SL 1200s and a very weird project turntable on a plexiglass plinth.
Right. Okay. I would imagine that there are enough shops out there that would like to be able to give credit to say that Alan came in and bought their turntable. So are they trying to woo you to come in and buy records and buy
occasionally, gear? Occasionally, yes. I mean, I get all kinds of invitations for record shows and for Record Store Day. But I have to promise my wife that no more than $250 because, well, it would just be irresponsible. She doesn't understand.
She doesn't understand. That's like drum sets. Well, and I think you're a car guy too. Did I hear that? So
yeah, I have obviously a very serious self-esteem problem. I was always a car guy from the time I was 16, and I wanted to have a cool car when I grew up, and I somewhere around the middle 90s, I really began to get into high performance production sports cars. And when I finally got to the 2000s, I was finally able to buy my first one.
So what'd you get?
My first one was a Porsche Cayman, 718. I had a 718, I had a 911, I had a 718, I had a 718. I had a Jaguar F-Type.
Okay.
Another 718, and I'm back into a Jaguar F-Type right now.
Nice. Yeah, all silver, just like Neil?
No, I'm a black person. Everything is all black, and black on black with tinted windows, black rims, 5-liter V8, just under 500 horsepower.
Nice. Yeah, that's a meaty machine. Sounds so good.
I
was pointing out a black F-Type yesterday by the Northern Cafe there in Southeast Vancouver with my my girl. We were admiring that, so I can't fault you for that one. Our singer from Flock collects Porsches, and he's a 911. He's got a series of 911s, and that's his thing. So
yeah, I sometimes have an opportunity to chat with Rob Dickinson of Catherine Wheel.
Okay,
and he runs a 911 reconditioning shop in LA called Singer Porsche, and people bring him like an older 1972 911 RS and pay him $500,000 to bring it up to modern specs with the engine and the suspension and everything else.
That's a tasty gig.
That's what he does for a living now. He reconditions Porsches for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
He found a real career that actually pays him. That's nice.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Perry in the chat's asking if you're ever surprised or disappointed by rock stars being actual, normal, loving, caring humans.
You know what?
The opposite.
Almost the opposite. I'll tell you that the worst human beings were young British bands who were in North America for the first time. Because if they're a hit at home, they think they're the next thing. Then they think they're the next Beatles. So they come here with all kinds of arrogance and airs. And then they find out that, we're not there yet with them, and as a result they get really upset and pissy. But my experience has been that the bigger the artist, the better the interview they are, and the nicer they are to people like me.
Sure.
I'm not special, but they realize that part of the job is talking to the media, and if they want to continue to do what they do, they have to play the game as far as interviews and all that sort of stuff is concerned. So I'll tell you that Angus Young, what a sweetheart.
Nice.
The singer Brian Johnson, again, sweetheart. Dave Grohl, really the nicest man in rock. John Paul Jones insisted on making me a cup of tea when I talked to him.
Of course he did. Oh my God.
I can go on and on and on. I have never really run into somebody who's been a jerk. I haven't, and that's so cool. I mean, Ringo was great. The guys in Depeche Mode were great. You can see on the wall there above the Rush drum kit. That's Gavin Rossdale.
Oh, and nice. Okay,
he's posing with one of my dogs.
Really? Yes. Yeah. I know you're big. You're a fond. You've got a fondness for terriers.
English Bull Terriers.
Oh, English Bull Terriers. Yeah. My pug is in the other room. He wanted to come in, but I told him, he hasn't earned the right to talk to Alan Cross yet. But
the girls upstairs are suspiciously quiet, which concerns me. But okay.
Yeah, we had one woof earlier, but maybe had DoorDash arriving. So Rosie asked this question in the chat, and it's going to be impossible to answer. But she and I were talking about this the other day. It's impossible to name the greatest song ever written, but in your mind, what's the perfect song?
Won't Get Fooled Again by The Who.
Oh, okay. Didn't even have to think about it.
I don't believe that there is any better example of the rock and roll idiom than that.
Yeah, greatest scream in rock and roll for sure.
Greatest scream in rock and roll. I love the arrangement. I love the guitars. I love the drumming. I love the message. I love everything about it. I will always stop and listen to Won't Get Fooled Again.
That's a great song, man. I love that. How about music scores? Are you into scores? Like can you listen to a soundtrack?
No. I should be. I had a tour of Abbey Road once, and I was there when they had a 65-piece orchestra set up to do a soundtrack from one of the Harry Potter movies. And I walked into the control room, and they had the score laid out. And it on paper, right? So it covered the entire console, and you had lines for each instrument or each group of instruments. It was amazing, and I really should get into movie scores a lot more because they're. Okay. I will get into the new Tron soundtrack because that's a 9 Inch Nails record.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. I know that particular genre is something that I've noticed that you were really into. The post grunge, well, even the whole grunge era seems like an era that you were really, really into, right? Big Soundgarden fan, big Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains.
Well, that was a very important time for music. 80s music or 90s music is still very, very popular 30 years later.
Right.
And it won't go away. Not that that's a bad thing. It just shows you, how strong the scene was in the 90s for a particular flavor of music. It was the alternative generation. I mean, in the 80s, in the 70s, I'm sorry, I've done the 19 Ozzy Osbourne interviews today. I'm a little scattered. When we got towards the end of the 90s, there was a big rush for 80s nostalgia. So 80s alternative.
Thank God.
Now it's all that.
We are very fortunate with A Flock of Seagulls that genre still hangs on, right? That we're still able to tour and play these shows. And I count my blessings every day. I'm grateful. And I'm also looking at some of the promoters that are trying to bring in 90s and the aughts, for these tour packages. And when they have 4, 5, 6 bands that make an ensemble that right now, a lot of those 80s bands, we tour a lot with like Wang Chung and Naked Eyes and General Public and English
I went to
Beat.
see a show last year. It was Wang Chung's Men Without Hats, Thomas Dolby, Wang Chung. Wang Chung, Thomas Dolby, Men Without Hats, Modern English, and a couple of others.
That was the Totally Tubular tour. Right?
Totally Tubular tour, yeah, that was the one. And I really wanted to go to Cruel World this year, but variety of reasons stopped me from going. I love those older shows. I love those thematic shows.
It's the thing is, everybody knows that they're going to hear hits that they know, right? That they love the songs. Yeah.
I went to my most recent show. I think was Simple Minds. Opening act was Modern English and Soft Cell.
Yep, I was at their very first show of the tour here in Portland. Great show. Simple Minds was so good.
Fantastic. Yes.
Yeah. The thing is, I pictured when I listen to all these podcasts that you do, a lot of journalists and a lot of people that are so heavily involved in sort of documenting music, I don't feel like they can really appreciate it. But I have a feeling that when you go to a show, you can get fully immersed. You actually do love going to listen to music, don't you?
Well, I do, but I look at it from a very analytical point of view. It's just what I do. So I'm maybe looking at different things. What guitar is the guitarist using now? What kind of setup does the drummer have? Let's listen to the PA and see how well that was equalized and set up for this venue. That's the sort of thing I look at. And then I pay attention to things like, set list and order and the real minutia. But I still really, really, really enjoy it. I honestly do.
Can you turn off some of that stuff to actually just, like, if you went to go see Gilmore, could you just watch him listen to his Pink Floyd tunes and turn off the analytical side?
I'll tell you, the last time I saw Gilmore, I was this is in Toronto, and I'm sitting next to Bob Ezrin.
Oh my God! Wow.
So he's looking around. There's a guy next to him, and he's singing the solo in "Comfortably Numb." And Ezrin's just looking around, big smile, and it's like, "Yep, I helped do that."
That is, yeah.
And I get lost in some of Gilmore stuff and some of the Pink Floyd stuff. That was the music that helped me survive the 70s and early 80s. There is no greater guitar solo in the world than what Gilmore does on "Comfortably Numb," coming from that black Strat, which he sold off for charity. But yeah, I can. I mean, if I go into a Rush show and they're playing the overture from 2112, I'm gone. I'm just completely immersed in that. But the problem is that when you do this for a living and you do this for a very, very long time, you end up because it's your job. It's you don't look at it like music as a civilian anymore. Yeah. And sometimes that's kind of sad because I'm supposed to be the professional. I'm supposed to be the critic. I'm supposed to be the influencer. I'm supposed to be the curator. And I can't always turn that off.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. As a drummer too, I mean, it's for me, it's really difficult to focus sometimes even on the lead singer because I'm watching the drums like that entire Simple Minds show. I'm watching Charisse the entire show, right? And she's a great drummer. She had a great presentation. She had an interesting solo.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I met her after the show, and I told her that, I've rarely seen someone play with that much joy.
Yep.
Oh, and she gave me a big hug.
That works, man. Do you gig at all? Are you playing out with
No, there's no time. No.
Yeah. Would you want to?
I would if there was an opportunity, but my days are so full, my weeks are so full that it's prohibitive right now. Maybe in the next couple of years we'll see. I would like that. There's a guy at the dog park that's always asking me to come out and play.
I'll bet. So who would you take a week off for? If Alan's going to shut the thing down, Getty calls up and says, "Hey man, Alan and I we're going to do a gig down at Rush Day on the 23rd. And, we're going to have a drum kit set up, or you can bring your Imperial Star and, 4 or 5 tunes. Yeah. Yeah. Right. It's game over.
Yeah. Just don't ask me to play, La Villa Strangiata. No, not doing it.
Come on, man. Yeah. Not doing it. Can I just bring up the band that I bring up on way too many episodes? My friends in America my bandmates are so tired of me talking about my absolute obsession about Big Wreck, but I love them so much.
Yeah, Ian's here's what I think about Big Wreck. First of all, Ian is a brilliant guitar player. He's a brilliant singer. And if they ever do a Chris Cornell biopic, he should star. I mean, look at him.
Yeah. Look at him, listen to him. Sounds like it too, right?
There is an album coming out in September. Damn it, I was supposed to just talk to him coming out. Anyway, yes, Big Wreck, great band.
October 24th is when it comes out.
He very soft-spoken guy, but a very good musician. Incredible. And everybody he hires for his band, I can't remember the name of his drummer, but
Sekou Lumumba.
That's him.
There you go. Yeah.
Outstanding. Just an outstanding drummer.
Ridiculous. The record comes out October 24th, by the way. That's it's embarrassing that I know that much, but I, like you, I get so sort of entrenched in the logistics behind things. I'll watch production, but I got so into Big Wreck during the pandemic, digging through Thornley's old stuff and looking back over the days that I flew out to Oakville to go see them play from Portland, Oregon.
Wait, from Oakville? That's where I am.
Yeah, yep. And actually, that's where Gord's at, too. So you guys are right around the corner from each other.
We are.
Yeah, I went to the Oakville Performance Center, the Art Center right there, and saw them there. And then to Denver. Had to drag my kid.
Did you play at the bowling alley?
I have played Ed's bowling alley, absolutely. Ed Souza's McBowl. And
yes, that's the place.
I shouldn't say it, but Ed Souza, I feel like, is probably the most generous person I know in the music business. He's done more for charity and more for the artists and patrons to have an incredible time. I love that man. I really do. I revere him. And he texted me this morning offering a date for Flock to play again this year. And I won't say the date because I don't think our singer has committed to it yet. But I love that bowling alley. And we played there with Honeymoon Suite. We played with Men Without Hats and the Spoons. And I've played there drums for
Jesus
the Spoons.
Jones has played there.
Yeah.
A lot of people. Yeah. And that's, I don't know, a 10-minute drive from my house.
Is it? Okay. So when we come back out there, of course.
Oh, I need to drag.
But if you come, here's what I can't have you do, though. I don't want you to be analytical, Alan Cross, and go, man, he dropped a stick on that part.
No.
Because the antics, I'll be throwing sticks to you. You just lob them back, right? So, I have, I ask, it's rare that I sort of stick to a format, but I do have questions for some people consistently. I love the guilty pleasure question. I love to know if I was going to dig through your playlist right now, because it's eclectic. I know you listen to a lot of stuff, but what would you consider to be a guilty pleasure in your playlist?
I spend a lot, not one artist, but in the car, I will listen to Sirius XM 70s on 7. All that bad music from the 1970s.
Are you talking yacht rock from the 70s?
What's that?
Yacht rock from the 70s? Like easy
listening?
No.
I mean, the top 40 crap that Casey plays.
All right.
I just find that it's like a brain enema for me. It really is. And it brings me back to when I had my transistor radio in the 1970s when I was still a kid. Yeah. So, and I was collecting charts and I was arguing with my friends about what song should be number one. And we were betting on which would be number one on New Year's Eve and so on and so on and so on. Oh, yeah, that's my guilty pleasure, listening to all that horrible music, which will include the Carpenters and Captain Tennille, but it also includes Pablo Cruz and Steely Dan.
Nice. Yeah, man. But all good bands. I've had ABBA as the answer to that question quite often. Probably more often.
Very viable one. Now, if you are at all involved in songwriting or music theory, you can dissect ABBA songs 1,000 different ways. And, Benny and Bjorn were fantastic at what they did.
Yeah, I agree. And what do you think of tribute bands? I'm curious about that.
They will do in a pinch. I mean, if the band doesn't exist anymore, or if, they'll do in a pinch.
We played this huge festival in Belgium, and on the festival, it was Midyear from Ultravox.
Great. He played on the gig or electronically.
He played electronic with a great band, and he had such command of that crowd.
Yeah.
That it was, and I've had Midge on the show as well. But it was a spiritual experience, man. To watch people singing Vienna louder than the band on stage was unreal. But there was an ABBA tribute opening. And it was a really interesting thing. And Village People were on that gig as well, too. But there was an ABBA tribute that was so big, they're so theatrical, that I think they really thought they were ABBA. And the fans that were watching were as into the ABBA tribute as they were for any other band on that lineup. And
I wouldn't be surprised. I remember back in the early 80s going to see Beatlemania. And after about 4 or 5 songs, everybody just started believing that they were watching the Beatles.
Yeah, Fab Four, another crazy, amazing tribute. Scott Clark wants to know if you've ever met a Bee Gee.
No.
Okay. You've met a lot of artists, though. Do you ever get that kind of that sort of fanboy vibe? Do you?
Listen, you don't go face to face with David Bowie without feeling a bit weird.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Whenever I talk to the guys in U2, I get nervous. But as soon as I'm in the room with them, they make you so calm and so welcome that no. I think you need to be the adrenaline has to be there. If there is no adrenaline, it means you don't care.
Yeah.
You've lost the passion for it. So I do get excited when I get to talk to people. This is my job. I love this. I paid for this. Like, come on. The greatest answer I ever had to a question was from Taylor Hawkins. I was at 606 Studios in LA, and I said, all the guys were there, all 5 guys were there. And I said, whenever I see you guys play, it looks like you're having the time of your life. And Taylor looks at me and says, of course we're having the time of our life. They're paying us millions of dollars to fly around the world playing rock and roll. Who wouldn't be having the time of their life?
Yeah.
And I agree with him. I mean, that's pretty much how I feel about what I do.
I'm so with you. I'm glad you brought up Taylor, because that was his episode. The episode that you broke down, his passing, was the first episode I ever heard of any of your podcasts, and it was so captivating. I could not stop listening, and I'm not going to ruin this, but if anybody hasn't listened to this, and you haven't listened to any of Alan's podcasts, please start with that one. It's amazing because you're not a conspiracy theory guy. You take facts, you look at a lot of historical stuff, and you look at his past and history. There are conspiracies out there about every time one of these guys passes.
I can tell you categorically that all the conspiracy theories are wrong.
Yeah.
I can't tell
about
you
him.
About him. I can't tell you how I know, but I honestly believe that my sources are pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I like that you actually brought enough of his historical medical history, and that was helpful. Didn't know about it, to be honest with you, and I was a massive Taylor fan, and I had just finished reading Storytellers, the girl book, and but it was written before Taylor passed, right? So it was that was a difficult thing. I mean, just the amount of sort of tragedy that guy has gone through, the girl has gone through, with loss in his life and bands and then controversy, what
controversy? What controversy?
Haven't heard much from Dave these days.
Yeah,
I think he's taking a little break.
Hey, I hear he's looking for a drummer.
What happened with Matt Cameron, man?
Don't
what do you
know.
think? Yeah. What's Pearl Jam going to do?
I don't know. Pearl Jam's like Spinal Tap when it comes to drummers. I mean, how many have they had? 9?
I would tell you, and you talked about like meeting heroes and some guys that were really inspirational to you early on. Dave Abruzzese was the first real rock star I ever met. I worked with Pearl Jam right after Dave got in the band and invited me out to his place in Seattle, spent some time with him. He changed my life, changed my whole trajectory. That's the reason I moved to the Pacific Northwest to pursue music, and he's still to this day a good friend of mine. It's tough, though, to watch that particular role in that band, right, with the amount of chaos. I mean, Matt Cameron was incredible, right?
Well,
I mean, incredible.
What, 27 years?
Yeah, he was there a long time, and Soundgarden would not be Soundgarden without Matt Cameron, right? It was a weird fit to me. It didn't really fit Pearl Jam to me, and then once Abruzzese was gone, didn't make any sense to me either. So, but this year has been nuts for drummers, right? I mean, you had Josh Freese getting canned, and I didn't see that coming.
Nope.
Do you know Josh at all?
No. I did reach out to the management, but of course I got no answer.
Yeah, you reached out to say what's up
to the Foos manager. The Foos manager.
Yeah. Just I would imagine that you probably get a lot more of the first information than a lot of people do. Did you have any inkling that Ozzy was as close to passing?
I did hear stories that people were concerned that he might not make it to the show because he was so ill.
Wow.
He was being weaned off painkillers.
Yeah.
He's got a problem with chronic pain.
Right.
And he was being weaned off so he could be, alert and coherent for the show.
Yeah.
And, hi, sweetie. Can I help you?
Is that your wife?
Yes.
Stuck in the...
She's stuck.
Yeah, she's been there for a while.
Where?
Oh, no.
The studio.
Oh, okay.
That's why your pup is so quiet.
No, I have a spot under my console in my studio, and then she goes there and hides.
Oh,
all right, I'll have to dig her out in a few minutes. Yeah,
that's adorable.
What were we talking about?
So Ozzy was being weaned off painkillers. I had heard him talk about that.
So he was being weaned off that. He not only had problems with Parkinson's, but he's also got emphysema, and that of course makes it very difficult to sing. So people were wondering, is Ozzy going to actually make it to the show? If he does make it to the show, is he going to make it through the show? But he did. He rose to the occasion. Everything seemed to be fine. It was a glorious way to end a career and to retire. Really? But then, 18 days later, he's gone. So that makes me think that he was probably in a whole lot worse shape than we had suspected or were told. We may find out. It doesn't matter. But it's I'll tell you that the Ozzy death affected me as much as the death of Bowie and as much as Joey Ramone. I don't know why. It just did.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting that even if you may have been a particular fan of one, you know, some artists that have passed didn't affect me in their passing, but I was a huge fan of them.
Mm-hmm.
My ultimate hero, aside from drummers, you know, like this guy, like I'm a massive Prince fan.
Uh-huh.
When Prince passed, I didn't see that coming at all. You know, like his painkiller addiction, same kind of thing. He wasn't a drinker.
Did not see that coming.
Right. Yeah, Michael, right? I mean, Michael Jackson,
No.
the same kind of thing, right? It's all the you know the addiction to painkillers from all their chronic pain and their doctors that are just pumping them full of junk, you know. But I think what I would love, Alan, is the people that, you know, a lot of people that are watching this are already very familiar with your podcasts and probably your national syndication too. Guys, if you haven't, I want you to start with a journalofmusicalthings.com. Go there, sign up for the newsletter. Every day, Alan pumps out so much music information that it blows my mind. I have a feeling you probably spend several hours amassing this newsletter
a couple of hours in the morning, yeah.
Okay. And then you work on the website as well, you said?
Yep.
Okay. And then the podcast. How much editing? That production of the podcast is so good.
I don't do it.
You don't? Okay.
So I have my guy, Rob. Rob and I have been working together on podcasts and radio shows since 1995. We're like an old married couple. I just grunt at him. He grunts at me, and it gets done.
Yeah. So you're writing the material, though.
I write and research all the material. I voice it here in my studio, put it up to Dropbox, and forget about it.
And he does all the Foley, all the music. Great music. The accompanying music is incredible too. And I was thinking, this guy he can't sleep. He must be just working all the time. Right?
Well, if I didn't have Rob, I'd be doomed.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Rob, call me. I need you. Actually, the question I love to ask people at the end, if we look back at the last days of Alan Cross, all right, so you're at the end of your time, when you look back at your history, what is it that you want to be remembered for? What's your legacy?
I hope I help people enjoy music more as a result of anything that I did. I hope I made, knowledge is power. Power, that kind of power creates emotion when it comes to the music. And the more you know about music, the more it affects you. So I hope that's what I've done. I hope that I can make music more enjoyable for you by telling you more about it.
You certainly have. For me, for sure. The last 3 months of obsessing over your podcast has been so fun for me. All the time we're on the road, man, I've got like just on repeat and on cycle, and it's been phenomenal. So I appreciate all the effort that you've made.
Well, thank you for being an evangelist. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Guys, do me a favor again. If you haven't gone, go to check out A Journal of Musical Things. Make sure you check out both of Alan's current podcasts. And if you've not done so, please subscribe to this channel too. I would love that. If you go to youtube.com/@accesskevin, everything you see there's lots of great episodes and a lot of people that we've talked about today. And soon, maybe we'll get Alex and Getty on, per Alan's recommendation. So
see what I can do. Have
a great time on Rush Day, August 23rd.
I will.
1 month from today. So
yes,
thank you so much, and thanks to your poor pup for enduring time away from Alan. So go save your dog.
I gotta go dig her up from underneath the console. There's all those wires down there. I don't know what she's doing.
Thank you again. I look forward to seeing you when we come back out there. Like I said, you'll definitely be at our show. We're playing Brampton, not far as.
Oh, that's not far. So, that's 35 minutes. So sure.
Niagara Falls is a little farther, but
that's about an hour. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you feel like coming to Niagara Falls, August 8th, with a flock of seagulls, and
I'm in Thailand. No, can't.
Are you? Which island are you going to?
Phuket.
You are going to be in Phuket.
I'm going for a detox cleanse.
Nice. Detox from everything, or any particular substance?
No, none of those things. It's just it's a health resort.
Like a retreat.
It's a retreat, yeah, with raw vegan food and yoga in the morning and daily colonics.
Nice. Sweaty cop.
Oh yeah.
Very, very good, man. Well, enjoy that. You deserve it. Thank you
so
much for your time. And I look forward to seeing you in person. Thank you guys so much for being here and being so involved in the chat. I will talk to you guys later. Have a beautiful evening. We'll talk to you later.